sculptor and I'm a member of the Royal Society of Sculptors. I'm here as the artist in residence at the UK Pavilion, and over the last 8 days I've been making a sculpture which will stay here for the whole of the Dubai Expo. The sculpture talks about climate change and sustainability, and I wanted something which conveys the urgency of making a change right now. So I've used the shape of an hourglass to show this, and I've also used some technology inside the artwork. The sculpture is called See Things Differently, composed of lots of different pieces, and when you look closely you can see that there are ghost nets, which is fishing nets that wash up on beaches, and other items that I've picked up on beaches. So the idea is that I'm recycling and upcycling materials to become artwork. And these items, I've collected them from beaches in Dubai with the help of a company called Companies for Good, who do beach cleanups here. And I've also collected them from beaches in the UK where I live. And so this is a small thing that I can do to take those elements out of the environment, but it's also symbolic and hopefully teaching people about problems around the world, not just in the UK and Dubai, but everywhere. This is something that we need to think about. The sculpture also has fibre optic lights inside, and this is quite a contrast to the items on the outside. The lights are responding to the data from the COP26 hashtag. So when you look online at the live dialogue, you can see that certain times of the day or with particular events, and especially during the COP conference, there's a lot of discussion and debate. So the sculpture will get brighter and will pulse more when this happens. And it also responds in colours to the sentiment. So depending on whether the conversation is very positive and hopeful, it would be green and blue. If there's some quite difficult issues and people are quite anxious, then it turns more towards the red colours. And so I hope that it's, although symbolically it is representing that global dialogue across all the countries and all the discussions which are going on. There are 500 lights inside the sculpture, so of course there are millions of tweets and conversations, so it can't represent every single one individually, but symbolically, to me, each light could represent one voice and one person, which is really important because I believe that as individuals we all need to play our part and work out how to become more sustainable in our own lives. But also it's about all of those dots and points of light, all of those people coming together collaboratively and also listening to each other's stories and each other's experiences, because I think that with climate change we will all experience it, if not already experiencing it, but we will experience it differently depending on where in the world we are. And that's really important because it's not just about one person or one place, it's a really global issue. The hourglass shape is quite special. It's something I thought of that is both an old-fashioned symbol, but also something you might find on a computer screen nowadays. And I've put the hourglass on its side because I want it to be at a moment of change. Perhaps you could call it a tipping point. And to me, one side is the past and the other side is the future. So that means that we're at that very central node, that inflection point in the middle, where we have the power now to make decisions which will impact the future of humanity. Over the last couple of years, I've been thinking more and more about climate change. Sustainability is very important to me personally in my own life, and it became apparent to me that this is a story that is everyone's story, and it's something which is really important. My previous works have done a lot of research into people who experience challenges all over the world, and the last few years I've been talking to migrants and asylum seekers to learn their stories and to make art about them. And I actually found through my research that a lot of people have had to leave their countries and change their lives because of climate change, whether it's droughts or flooding or it causes unrest. And that really had an impact on me. One of the first things I visited when I came to the expo was the Sustainability Pavilion, and I find that really amazing. It's very educational, and I think this is something that we should all be talking about. So I'm really happy that the sculpture is here. I think it's the right context, and I hope that it can motivate people and spark off conversations around this topic. I love the blue and green colours, that's like my personal preferences. But for this sculpture, I was particularly thinking about the Earth. That's the first place I started with my research, was to look on Google Earth and just play with that. When you zoom out and you see the whole globe, it's just so beautiful. It's like, they call it the big blue marble. And so I was inspired by that, and I wanted to use inks. So all the paper pieces have got artist's inks on recycled paper. And the nice thing about inks is that if you look really closely, you can see the little rivulets of where the ink flows and how it spreads through the paper. It's almost like you've zoomed out and you're looking into a canyon, or the river flows on the Earth. So again, there's this micro-macro view, and the ink, to me, is just acting by the laws of physics, which is exactly how the Earth forms. So in a subtle way, there's a link there as well.